In this video, we're going to create a transitioning animation between the idle clip and the walk clip. Go to File and load DynaRigStance.fxs. In previous lessons, we used the stance as the starting point for our animations, and because the stance has a keyframe that is exactly the same as the idle animation, we can use the stance to create the transitioning animation to the walk. To make sure we line up with the walk, we'll load the walk clip and apply it inside Compose. Go to Compose mode, go to Clips here and do a clip load. Pick the walk.mcp. Now we need to match these curves to the group. Right now Messiah doesn't know that the curves in the clip have corresponding bones inside the animation group. So we need to make sure that they match. We're going to target all of the items and we are going to match exact. So it's going to find the exact name and make connections to them. So now we have a clip that references the proper bones inside the group. Go to Tracks, and down here at the bottom, it may be hidden, is underneath the group we can add a new track. When we add a new track, it shows up here inside of the track editor in Compose. There's only one clip in the scene, which is the walk, so we insert the walk. Now we have the walk moving along. So right now, if we go to frame 16, 16 is where the walk happens, and everything else just shows our rig stance, our default position. So if we created keyframes between here and here, we could actually get a pretty good lineup. So you can take a look at how it snaps the minute we move to a walk cycle. Now to create a proper stance here, let's say we need at least 24 frames to start the walk, and then he goes into his walk. Go into animate mode, and if you started a new scene, make sure that you've picked something inside the hierarchy first and set your edit keys to use the current group. Now we know on frame 0 to 24 is going to be our transition keyframe, so we need to set keys on that so that we can transition properly. Frame 24 is the starting frame, so tap the enter key. It's going to create the key on the group and check use computed values. What that's going to do is that's going to go through, let's click OK. It's going to go through, find all the values after the clip has been loaded and set keys on them. So now we have a transition going between frame 0 and frame 24. These will be our key poses. From here, because they're linear transitions, take a look at the z-axis here. This is going to actually represent how fast our character is going to move as he starts up and drops into the walk. And if we check the timing on this, you can see that, well, it's not really that fast. So let's hold it over to say, let's go to frame 12. Create a keyframe at frame 12 from frame 0. The enter key, go to frame 12. We can uncheck use computed values, so OK. So now he pauses, starts walking again. So he's going to take the first step, 12 frames long. Let's check the timing on that by hitting play. And it looks like he transitions about the same rate that he starts walking. So from here, we can go through and do all of our passing positions and in-betweens. Let's pick the head, and this is a 24 frame animation. Let's set the in and outs to 24. I'm using the wheel mouse to zoom in. From here, let's just move this, undo that. Make sure that multi-edit is turned on. Move the head and body down just a little bit so we have some movement as he goes. So now when he gets ready to walk, maybe he can hesitate on the walk. He's going to back up just a little bit. Then when he starts to walk, his foot's going to pick up from here. So he's going to jump into the air. Let's make sure that that's sitting on a proper frame, maybe frame 18. And then he goes into his walk. Let's pick the back foot because it's going to move forward. Go to frame 18. Switch to a left view here. we're just going to pick the frame up. Use the A key to center your selection. Up on Y. Oh, make sure Chord Assist is turned off or you're in parent space using a left mouse click. And he starts his walk. So let's set keyframes on everything else that's sitting in here. So middle mouse click on the cells, which will set keys on everything in the scene. Now let's set keys on here too. Middle mouse click on the cells. So now we have keys that can start. Now let's move this key from frame 7 to 6. Middle mouse click as well. So now we have our passing positions and our key poses. Let's add some more flair to this. So as he goes back, let's drop the tail down just a little bit. I'm going to scale the curve to match the window size. He's going to drop, get ready for his move up, and then start the cycle. Let's go back in and reiterate for some of this. So this is actually, he's going to transition fast on frame 3, slow down, okay. Work on the hips. Let's put some in-betweens on the hips. So the hips, let's tilt the hips up just a little bit. And the hips. Go down, and then he starts his animation here. So because he starts from a stop, he has to accelerate a bit faster, so we're going to drop this down as he moves his way up. And tilt it up just a little bit so that he drops back into his position. Work down the line here, put some in-betweens on the spine. Let's counter animate the spine, so the spine does that. He drops down on his way up. And then on his way back down. Go to the front view. Let's go back down to the hips. He needs to shift his weight. So he hasn't moved yet. When he picks his foot up off the ground on frame 18, we move him over. Let's bank that body so that his weight shifts. Soften the transition between that, since we've already put in-betweens in. Let's go to our perspective view and double check. That tail just looks too whippy. I'm just going to mess with the curves until I see if it looks right. Okay, let's go to the head. Make sure the length of the neck works properly. Oh, let's not work on the head yet. We need to counter rotate the spine. Let's bank that back down, soften the transition by moving the other keys up. There we go. Let's get the hands while we're down here. Multi-edit's turned on. We're in parent coordinate space. I'm only using the left mouse click, not the right mouse click. So he gets ready to move forward, so the hands hesitate a little bit. They have mass. So we push them back. his way down, they should transition right in to the walk cycle. So anytime you want to check this, just move the out frames beyond that till he drops into his walking cycle that's sitting on the compose mode. Let's move that back to frame 24. Now we can work on the head. Use the A key to center the selection. Keep track of the neck. The neck stretches a little bit on this in between, so we pull it in, stretch it out. Let's bob his head down as he works his way up. I don't like that one. Undo. Okay, seems to be okay. So let's focus on the feet now. So this foot's actually going to hesitate a little bit more. So just on the foot, I'm going to right click, copy that state, hold it over to frame 15. Right click, paste, and I'm just pasted just that foot, the only thing I have selected. Now move it backwards on Z. Just going to pick his toes up. Now you can use the grid to check to see how fast it accelerates. This one is about halfway through. When he gets to that spot, he moves approximately 2 squares over. So we check the Z on this one. He starts at this edge, so 2 squares from there would be right back here, which is actually right there. And because this is a spline, we need to change that interpolation so they move at the same rate. And then he picks his foot up. Curl the feet. And because we made sure to set keyframes on the key poses, we shouldn't get any awkward transitions on these feet. Bend these toes till they match. Let's put them up for a landing. Do the same thing we did on the walk cycle on the feet. Pull the toes in on heading so that they are closed in the up position. Let's bank them in a little bit. Move the foot in on X. Then he drops. Back to perspective view. Here's our walk transition. Let's move that a little bit further out by moving the out frames to see if he transitions correctly. Is there anything else we need to do with this? Well, you can go through and tweak everything until you get the timing just right, but I believe we've covered everything. So from here, we can create this clip. Go to compose mode. Let's turn off the track. So the only thing we have is our animation on the timeline, our keyframes on the timeline. We'll create a new clip. We'll call this one idle to walk. Should have the same settings here. Copy. So now we should have 2 clips in here, walk and idle to walk. Select idle to walk, clip save current, and let's type that in here, idle to walk. Go to File and save this scene as Dyno idle to walk.